Okay, I think we are live. At least I hope we're live in Fancy Five Towns here for Shabbos in Fancy Flatbush. But starting the day Dash Kodesh and in the basement in the dungeon, I guess. So here we are. So usually when something interesting in the text in the Torah comes up, I'll kind of tell the Kohen or someone who's laning. I'll give you a quarter if you mention something. So for example, the broken vav in Pinchas, Brisi Shalom, the broken vav. I'm not talking about why it's broken, but it's broken. The vav should be broken, hopefully. So I say, give you a quarter if you just start yelling that the vav is broken, and people look at me weird. And then this week's parsha, we have something also very interesting. Little aleph, little aleph. So again, if you're not a Kohen or a Levi who's going to see it or reading or a Gabbai, you may not know it, or you probably will do know it because everyone quotes his Baal term. Aleph's era, little aleph. So again, if you do this on Shabbos, I will definitely pay you a quarter. I'll zell or bit you a quarter. But if you start yelling out that the Torah is puzzle because the aleph is small, I will lean out. I'll give you a quarter. Why is it small? Well, Moshe being the unav didn't want to have the word Vayikra at all, just Vayikar. Mikra, just like calling to Bilam. Moshe, the greatest unav, calling out. Hashem calls out to Moshe every time, and Moshe has this direct connection with Kadosh Baruch Hu. It doesn't fit with his mahus. It's gonna every time Hashem will speak to me, I call. I'm connection with Hashem. Doesn't sound so good. I'd rather have Vayikar. It means happenstance. Happenstance happens, but can't happen. So it's a little aleph. Yeah, here we are. Little aleph. So Vayikra, Vayikar. That lesson, that idea. Moshe Kol Adam. It's not Vayikra. It's not Vayikar either, even though we do know that Hashem spoke to Moshe all the time. But to make it look like it wasn't a regular thing, small aleph, we're good to go. This idea, small aleph, and this idea, there's a few different pshatim. You can open up a sefer. That's kind of why people talk about it. Why? Because it's easier to talk about this than talk about the menachos and talk about hargasha and tenufa and all the different types of menachos. Noisy here. So we kind of focus on this lesson of the little aleph, the small Vayikra, and there's a couple ideas. One is anivas, one is busha, Ari Naim has really interesting idea. First is that we can't take too much of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we have this idea that kind of comes up. That's why Hashem is not open in this world. If it's too much of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world, or revealed in the world, there's no Bechira. We're not going to say, is there good, is there bad? If it's so open, it's so obvious that Hashem's in the world, no one's going to sin. And there's no reward in that. And the mushal is like a little tiny crack if it's totally dark, and you open up, someone who's never seen light before, if it's totally dark, you turn the lights, it's too much for you. That's why a little crack in the window, a little crack in the door, you get used to the light, then you kind of grow and you kind of appreciate the dark and the light. This is the idea. Little aleph, small amount. This idea of busha, this idea of being small, is something that's really, really powerful idea. And this is kind of maybe the theme of all karbanos. And the way we treat people, you bring the karbanos. For example, even Bikurim, not in the parsha, but Bikurim, a rich person brings the Bikurim in a gold basket, takes it back. The poor person, the Kohen, picks it up and he keeps it. It's something davar chashuv. Of course, the poor guy's like, I can need it for next year. But either way, we treat the poor person, Adam ki yakru mekem, nefesh ki sakriv. We talk about as nefesh, a poor person who brings a carbon, and it's soulless. He can't afford the cow. He can't afford the sheep. He can't afford a fancy ola. He has to do soulless. We treat him nefesh because he's doing from himself. So we treat him a little bit better. Maybe he goes first. We treat people that put more efforts, put more... we treat it better. Let's be honest. Rich person, we always judge them. He's got a big house. Probably doesn't give enough tzedakah. Maybe not. Maybe yes. Maybe not. We don't give him the benefit of the doubt sometimes. The poor person, You see someone who doesn't have so much money, raising money, trying to get other people to give tzedakah. We give that person benefit of the doubt, some reason. And the Torah has a little preferential treatment, I believe. This idea of busha. This idea of busha that a poor person has is a powerful idea. We had this in the Gemara in Brachas literally a couple weeks ago, when Shaul, who does some great things, and then things go south on him. He tries to kill David, kills the Kohanim, and he loses his connection to Hashem. The Nevi'im or Batum don't work for him anymore, and he's kind of at wit's end. And he goes to the witch, famous story. He goes to the witch, and the witch brings back Shmuel, and Gemara says, Shmuel says, "Why did you take me out of Olam Haba? What's going on here?" Very angry. And Shaul says, "Listen, I lost the connection. Out of Nevi'im, I have no Urim V'Tumim." He forgets, he deliberately leaves out that there's no Urim V'Tumim because there's no Kohanim, because he killed all of them in Nov. So he leaves that part out. And the Gemara says, Shmuel knew that, but Shaul was embarrassed to say it. He was embarrassed to say, "I don't know what the war or the Pelishtim will be because I killed the Kohanim." He's embarrassed to say that. And because of this, Shmuel says, "It's not going to go well tomorrow for you, but you're going to go to Olam Haba with me. You'll be my mechitzi, my part of Olam Haba." This idea of busha is a very powerful idea. We don't have dvash. We have no sa'ar in the karbanos. Why? Sa'ar rises, matzah stays low. This idea to have any gaiva, any idea of geios, any idea of haughtiness cannot be present in karbanos. There's no place for it in the Beis Hamikdash, no place in the Mishkan, there's no place in Shul, there's no place in karbanos. I said already. There's no place for it. Can't walk up to Shul with your fancy car and start going and davening like you own everything, or like you run the place. It's Hashem's house. It's a zchus. They're in Hashem's house. Can't bring money into the Beis Hamikdash, harbais. Anyone who's been into the harbais can't bring a stick, can't bring your wallet. What do you do with your wallet? That's another question. Why not? What's the big deal? No, you can't bring your wallet. This is a place, it's Hashem's place. You bring your own thing. You can't wear shoes. Can't go barefoot or wear Crocs. This idea of geios cannot exist in the Beis Hamikdash, and with karbanos either. So we actually treat the presence and the ani a little bit higher because he is busha. He's embarrassed to stand next to a guy who has nicer clothes and a nicer car and a nicer carbon, and he's sitting there with some flour. There's embarrassment there, and because he has this idea of busha, his tefillos are his carbon is machaper, and this is a little aleph. That's literally the first in the first word, Vayikra, small aleph. And the idea that Aranaim also has interesting on this idea is even when a person is small, meaning a person is small because he's in a small place, a low place, not because he's great and he's an unav, because he's a sinner. A person's sinner always has a little aleph calling him. Aranaim says each person, like the Mishnah says, there's a bas kol every day. The question is, what's the point of having a bas kol if no one can hear it? It's great. There's a bas kol. How does it help me? And Aranaim says, no. If you ever hear, the shoulders, good, bad, do angels, whatever it is, you ever hear, don't do something, do this little thought in the middle of doing an Aveira or after or before an Aveira, a little guilty conscious, that's the bas kol. That's the little tshuva. This is Hashem calling to you. This little reminder that you hear, this little voice. Don't do something. Be careful. You shouldn't do this. You did an Aveira. That conscious you have, that's that bas kol. That's the bas kol. And therefore, Vayikra Moshe, even when you're small, it's a little bit that each person has this idea that Hashem is calling out to him. And that's this conscious that we hear, this little ideas of tshuva. This is what little aleph is. What's also an interesting idea, another idea the Tifer Shmuel brings down, Shmuel Tzvi Alexander, is that little aleph, that we should think that small aleph, that we're doing things kind of like we're small. David HaMelech, the Beis HaMerchatz, is upset. He's depressed. He's upset. There's no mitzvahs. He did nothing. He remembers his bris milah. What's the purpose? Like, what's all the parties say? Well, it's always with you. A lulav, 7 days, it's gone. Matzah, 7 days, 8 days, it's gone. Bris milah is always with you. But the Tzver Shmuel says an interesting idea is the bris is very unique in one special way. There's no machshava. The kid, 8 days old, and the bris milah is done. Whether he wants to or not. The bris milah is bris milah. And David HaMelech says that's the way we should do all our mitzvos. Thinking, really, obviously not thinking, but thinking only not for other purposes. Not doing mitzvah because the next door neighbor is doing tzedakah. I got to do something. This guy comes early to shul. I got to match that guy. This guy, gave this money to shul. I got to match that. He gave this. I give this. He's giving cover to the rabbi. I have to give cover to the rabbi. A lot of times we fall into that. This guy's giving a share. I have to think of a chabura. The only mitzvah that we count really pure is bris milah. And that's the idea, small aleph. Without any thoughts, without gayus, without thinking anything, what the neighbor's going to think, my kids, got to marry off the kids, without any of that stuff, just doing things bilti Hashem. Just like the ani, standing up there in busha, he has to bring a carbon. He did a sin, he has to bring a carbon. And he's doing it just for Hashem, and that's maratza, that's mechaper. So too, Tzver Shmuel says this is the idea of the little aleph. We should think back to when we were a little aleph, yeled za'ir, when we were little, just like with aleph za'ira, small, like a yeled za'ir, small child. The 8-day-old baby, no thoughts, it's going right to Hashem, and we should always think back. We should always think that, just like that boy or us, we got to the bris without thinking about any other thing, just l'shem shemayim. So to our mitzvahs. And with that, Shabbat Shalom from Fancy Five Towns.